Now, this data science journey that we are about to embark on is not like others. That's because we'll be using prompt engineering techniques to learn how to manipulate and analyze our data. So, first, let's talk about what exactly is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a relatively new field. In fact, this term wasn't heard of even in the year 2022. Prompt engineering is the process of structuring text that can be interpreted and understood by a generative AI model. Generative AI models are machine learning models that are trained on a huge corpus of data and are capable of generating new data instances of the type that they are trained on. The data instances that they generate are unique in that they do not actually exist in their training data. Generative AI is powered by very large models called foundation models that are trained on huge data sets. And here, when I mean huge, they are trained on billions of records. The most powerful generative AI models in existence today are natural language processing models, which can perform out of the box tasks such as question answering, summarization, and classification. Now, who here hasn't worked with ChatGPT or Google Bard? Both of these are examples of the kinds of natural language generative models that we are working with today. These natural language models respond to queries. So you type in text in the form of a question or an instruction, and you get response in the form of a text. And this leads me to prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is primarily used in communication with a text to text model. ChatGPT, Google Bard, and others are examples of such models. Text to text models are those that accept text as an input and produce text as their response. Prompt engineering is only possible because these generative AI models have the ability to learn and understand the context that you provide. Prompt engineering is enabled by in context learning, the ability of the model to learn from the prompts that you type into the model's interface. Prompts here refer to the natural language text describing the task you want the model to perform. You want the model to generate code for something, or answer your question, or write an email for you. All of these are examples of prompts. Prompts are useful not only with text to text models, but also with text to image or text to audio models that produce an image and audio at the output, respectively. And with them, prompts are used to define the kind of output that you're looking for. What kind of image do you want the model to create? Or what kind of sound do you want the model to generate? Prompt engineering has proved especially useful for coding related tasks. With the use of natural language prompts, you can actually get these models like ChatGPT and Google Bard to generate code for your particular problem scenario. If your code is not really working the way you expect, you can actually paste in your code into your prompt and ask the model to debug code for you. And it often gets things right. The model can also explain code. Code can often be complex and confusing, and these models can read and interpret the code that you paste in as a part of the prompt and explain exactly what that code does. Let's say you have code, but it isn't very performant. You can actually paste this code into ChatGPT or Bard or even Bing Chat and ask it to improve the performance of that code. You can also use prompt engineering to convert code between languages. So you have code in Python, but you want the code to be in Java. Well, ChatGPT or Bard can help you with this. These text to text generative AI models are great at interpreting and understanding code. So, this is why we'll be learning how to perform our data science and analysis operations using these tools. For example, in many cases, we'll present a problem scenario to ChatGPT, Bard, or Bing Chat and write code using these code generation prompts. If there is some bit of code that we don't understand, we'll paste that into these generative AI models and understand what the code does using these explanation prompts. Another kind of prompt that we'll use extensively is debugging prompts. If we run into issues in our code, if we find that we encounter errors that we don't really understand, we'll paste the error in to these models and see what debugging they can help us with. The generative AI tools that we'll use across this learning path will be ChatGPT, Google Bard, and Bing Chat. We'll feed in prompts to these models and ask them to generate code, help us with debugging, and help us with explanations. Now, while these generative AI models are great at working with code, you should know that generative AI is still very much in its experimentation stage. The code that is produced by these models, the explanations, and the debugging may not always be right. These models often tend to hallucinate and believe things are right when they are not. So you need to use these tools with care. If you're in doubt about what some generated code does, use your common sense, refer to other original sources if you need to, but don't accept everything that these tools generate at face value.